Welcome home, neighbors, to episode 318 of the My DVC Points podcast. My name is Chad, and I am your host today. And today we are talking with Andy Berry from DVC Resale Market about Rofer, which is Disney's right of first refusal, what the mouse bought back last month. We're going to look at average prices in the market for the month of November. What's going on in the market? Are we shifting over to a buyer's market? I tend to think so. I think the data leads us that way, but we'll bring Andy in and kind of get his take on it as well. And before we do that, I want to come back in and, as you guys know, I've been partnering with Lynn from Families Fly Free, and we've been promoting some of the Families Fly Free partners as well in our shows. So I just wanted to give a shout out to my friend Leslie over at 365 Atlanta Traveler. In this week's show, we're highlighting her, and I'm still working with her to bring her on a show. With my travel schedule of Detroit, Orlando, I'm away from the studio. I haven't been able to really fully connect with her and get her scheduled on a show, but we're working on it, and that's going to happen. In the meantime, I wanted to give her a quick shout out and plug for her site over there. So before we move any further, let me come back in and welcome Mr. Andy Berry to the show. How you doing today, Andy?
Hello, my friends. How are you all doing tonight? Chad, how are you?
I cannot complain, Andy. I am sitting here I've done 3 days of parks this week. I've got my best friend growing up here, or one of my really good friends. He came down for 3 days. He's retired now, and I took Thursday off, so we hit Hollywood Studios hard that day with no lightning lane, no DAS pass, no nothing. And a full 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the park. Friday, I went back to work. And then Saturday, we did Epcot, full 9 hours to 9 hours. I guess 9 to 9:12. And today we got everything done in Animal Kingdom from about 9:30 to about 6 o'clock tonight. So I'm parked out, Andy. I am
that's okay. But now you got to just take it easy for a day or two.
Yeah, I'm in that I need a vacation from my Disney vacation kind of thing, even though we were just hitting the parks hard.
Hopefully you saw some of my friends today at or last week at Hollywood Studios.
So yes, I'm hopefully I should have seen some of them, Andy, at least. Yes, we did come back in and rope drop Slinky Dog. So, and then we came back in and yeah, we did Toy Story Midway Mania, and we even did the Alien Swirling Saucers because he has not been to those 3 parks in probably 15 years. So it was all new to him, and we had to do it all. But
yeah, he probably wanted to see Test Track and all that stuff, but now that stuff's kind of going away. But anyway, hey, before we get going too far, we should wish everybody a very happy, healthy, and safe holiday season. Because, in 2.5 weeks from now, Chad, we got Christmas and Hanukkah and all the other stuff coming up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hopefully everybody had a happy Thanksgiving, and hopefully Santa's got something in their stocking for you guys, a little DVC add-on or something along those lines, Andy.
Plenty of time to do that still.
Plenty of time to do that. And by the way, you guys, this is a live show that we're taping. So if you are watching live and you have questions, go ahead and ask them. I will get to them eventually, and we will have a spot for just questions and answers that aren't on topic for our content at the very end. So hang with us if you ask something off topic. And if you ask something on topic, I'll probably try to work it into the show as well. So tonight's agenda, Andy, we've got Disney's right of first refusal coming up. And talk to me here. What has the mouse stolen back or bought back last month?
Really nothing again. I mean, so yes, the end of the month of November, just the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, Mickey bought back 8 Animal Kingdom listings, in part because they're getting ready to announce an Animal Kingdom incentive on the retail side. That's coming, I think, later this week on the 12th. So they're probably just boosting up their inventory a little bit. But aside from that, there's nothing else. Rofer is still sleeping.
What is it? Buying Animal Kingdom the day before Thanksgiving? Isn't that when all of those hit on one day?
Yes, on the 27th of November, the day before Thanksgiving. It had us running around the night before Thanksgiving because we were closed Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, it's one of 2 days a year you guys are actually closed, Thanksgiving and Christmas,
Thanksgiving and
and
Christmas Day.
yeah, and I'm like, y'all supposed to be going after turkey for Thanksgiving, not like giraffes and warthogs and zebras here in DVC. I'm just telling you, right? It's
You got it. But as you show on the screen, hold on a second, I get it. Roper's total, not many, but if you go a little further down, Chad, I like that 23 days till we hear Roper, but there's really nothing out there. No news.
well, I mean, the good news is that we've seen this as 26, 25, 27 this year. So 23, they're at least passing it quicker than they used to.
Yeah.
And that's always a good thing because when you put in a resale contract and you're in that waiting period for the mouse to come back in and pass your contract or steal your deal, then to me that's a nail biter. And the fact that we're getting this done in 3 weeks and 2 days on average, that's better because when I was going through it, it was a solid 30 days, Andy. And that's just an extra week on there. That's just too much. Too much.
And I think with the holiday coming up next week or 2 weeks from now, you might see the December data go to 25 or 26 days, maybe 27 days. But that's just the law of averages with the month of December. When you hit January, the new year, it'll be back to low 20s, if not faster.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That it
But
should
don't
get
be afraid.
faster.
If you're a buyer out there, don't be afraid of the Roper monster on any listing out there. We'll help you. The agents here at the DVC resale market will help you decide whether you're in realm with Get It Done. But again, if you stay away from the 2 or 3 that we've been ropered over the course of the year, you're going to be in outstanding shape.
That's it. Trust the process, trust your guide. And you never really truly know for 100%, but they have a pretty good idea as to what Disney's doing and what they're buying back. And when we kind of know that an incentive is going on at a resort, it's going to have a little higher chances of being bought back because they're going to need to replenish their inventory and kind of restock their shelves of Animal Kingdom points when they put it on sale.
Yes.
So their only way of doing that is to buy back contracts off the resale market. And by the way, for those of you who are wondering, Disney is the largest resale buyer out there. Nobody even comes close to buying as many resale contracts as they do. So it's just part of the process and part of the game. It really gets people when you're a first time resale buyer, it gets people a little on the anxious and the nervous side, which is why we cover it every single month.
And, I mean, Chad, you go back 18 months ago, 24 months ago, we were dealing with Roper on 5 and 6 and 7 different resorts. And, there was a lot of reason to be nervous. Yeah. But nowadays, no reason whatsoever as a buyer.
Yeah. I mean, they'll work you through it. And even if they steal your deal, there's more fish in the sea, Andy.
Got it.
They can't buy them all back. You know what I'm saying?
We're going to start to grow pretty soon. You're going to see that. We'll discuss in a couple of minutes. So we'll be in good shape from that standpoint.
Yeah. Well, let's switch over here to average sales prices for November. And I think Paul put a little more thought into this article than I normally see. There's quite a bit of commentary up here and analysis, and I really kind of enjoyed some of it, Andy, and especially talking about this growth indicator, and are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market? And that really just comes into the supply demand curve. Are there more buyers out there than there are sellers? And I think we're coming into a little bit more sellers than we've seen at least over the summer.
Yep. We're sitting about a little less than 500 active listings. In 6 weeks from now, Chad, my speculation is going to be we'll be at about 650 or 700 listings, if not more. So you're going to quickly see it become a buyer's market fairly quickly.
Yeah. And the reason why is we're recording this show on what is today, December 8th?
Yes.
And like the 14th, our due statements come out. And we already have like a heads up from those people who have been data mining the DVC site for what our 2025 dues are going to be. And so the news people have already been hitting the dues, and we'll get the official statements and emails from Disney on our dues within the next week or two. And when that happens, it makes a lot of people really reconsider their membership and going, hey, do I need this many points? Did I
Mhm.
use this many points? And quite often it drives listings into the market. That's people evaluate it and go, hey, I'm life has changed. I could use money for something else. My kids are older. I could use money for college. Life happens.
But
And it,
again, Chad, that doesn't impact that there's still some wonderful deals out there now.
Mhm.
Like for example, this past week, I sold an Alani listing, 160 point Alani listing for, catch this one, $82 a point.
You're killing me here, Andy.
I know,
You're really
we've been
killing
talking
me.
about this for months now.
Yeah, I got to pay off my Disneyland hotel contract, and when I do, I might be talking to you, right? Es-
Whenever, but
Especially if you find me a February subsidized dues contract. That'll just be
what I want to convey to the audience is that you don't have to wait until the inventory's 5 and 6 and 7 or 800 listings. The deals are out there. There's some fantastic deals. We'll cover a couple of those as we get into some of the inventory discussion too, Chad.
yeah. But as we talked about this as well, Andy, the listings will go up within the next 2 months, guaranteed. Due statements will drive it. But you know what else happens then, Andy? I'm from Michigan, and right after Christmas,
Snowbirds.
cabin fever kicks in like you wouldn't believe. And you start dreaming about getting down to Florida and getting out of the gray skies and all of that stuff. All of us from the northern states just start, jonesing over sunshine.
Yeah.
And that starts the whole research process. And I need to book a Disney vacation. So, right about the time inventory spikes, interest in resale starts to spike as well.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
that's a
Chad, why don't you
thing.
toggle down a little bit on the schedule you're on to show the little detail on resale on the resale prices? I think we should just hit a little bit more on that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Come down a little further. And kind of the perspective, I mean, I always start this off with you, Chad, when we talk about it. I don't necessarily look at the last month or the previous month or the previous 60 days prices. I look at a price from 12 months ago. So,
Yeah.
for example, as the readers look at this, take a look at Animal Kingdom. November of last year was $111 a point. November 24, 109 a point. There's like no variability there.
Yeah,
So-
even the course of the year, it went up to 116, down to 102 at the
Yep. But that again, that was an anomaly. The only big changes you really see, if you come down, is going to be the Grand California. Went from 280 down to 222. Okay, yeah, that's a big swing. But you know,
yeah,
we got a little,
Beach Club also took one here while it's on my screen.
Yep.
So I don't know if last month was an anomaly at 123. I don't know if the reality of 2042 is kicking in here finally. We've been saying it will for probably the last 4 years, and so far it really hasn't.
But then if you do that, Chad, then you got to look at Boardwalk. It's sister, the sister resort right across from the waterways. 119 last year and now 133.
Yeah, and even Boulder Ridge, 106 to 106 year over year.
Yeah.
You're a year over year guy. I'm a last like 60, 90 days kind of guy.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for that trend. And it's yeah. So there's various ways to do this. And I'm glad to have you on the show to kind of bring a different opinion than I have on it. And
Yeah.
I think covering everybody's opinion here is a beautiful thing. And sharing this out to people is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and then the other anomaly that's out there is the Polynesian. Obviously, when the new tower pricing came out a couple months ago, poly prices jumped up relative to last year. So my analogy of 170 last month of November versus last year at 148. Yes, okay, that's because we got more information now. We know that you can use the resale prices at the new tower.
And that's just driving that up.
Yep.
And Disney's spending multi-millions of dollars marketing that resort right now. Okay. Let's not forget that.
When we'll get that in a second, we're flushed with Polynesian inventory and options. We got about 90 active listings on Polynesian out of about 500. So what's that? That's almost 20% of our active listings are Polynesian.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Polynesian owners has looked at this and said, I'll cash out at these prices.
Yeah.
And maybe some of them are lucky in doing it. Maybe some of them aren't. But I think that's what's going on with the poly. I'm with you. Poly is the anomaly right now, and people are looking at this at what, $225 a point, and they're still saving $55 from buying it from direct, and they're going, it's the same beds, it's the same resort. And why wouldn't I come back in and say $55 a point?
And honestly, if DVC's past practice is any indication of future performance, I wouldn't be surprised if after the first of the new year, maybe into February timeframe, February, March, they take the price of the Polynesian up. Maybe all of their active listings, actually all of their active resorts taking the prices up.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen a pretty good price increase from them, right? Yeah. And that's one thing you can pretty much count on is the mouse keeps raising the prices. And
twice a year.
And yeah, we just saw tickets and annual price go up in November as well. So they're going to be right there behind it with dues going up, and everything goes up at the mouse, and it always goes up faster than inflation. That's just mouse life, right? It's mouse math at this point in time. You almost have to count on it, right?
You got it.
And now we're down here on the listing. We'll talk about the Grand Cal. So 279 to 222. We saw that spike up last year when the transient tax and everything from Disneyland Tower came out, and everybody looked at it and went, ooh, like taxes, higher dues. I think I'll stick with Grand Cal. And I think that's just now coming back into reality. I've been saying that for a while now.
And if I recall as well, Chad, back in last October, November, December, our inventory of the Grand Cal was in single digits.
Yeah.
Now we're at 18 active listings, maybe 19 active listings. So the inventory is a little bit higher, which is going to take the price of the points a little bit down.
Yeah, you're going to get sellers competing, and yep. And because there was only like 5,000 contracts written from what I've been told from people who worked at Disney at the time for the Grand Californian. So when you see 20 of them on DVC resale market, that's a pretty good indicator of that's a pretty good inventory, because it's not like this was Saratoga that had, millions and millions and millions of points and probably 100,000 or more contracts out there for it.
Correct.
It's 5,000, right? It's pretty small.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it on a relative basis, Grand Cal, we have, just call it 20 listings, active listings, and Saratoga Springs, we have 50. So you're looking at 40% of a comparable comparison.
Yeah,
Grand Cal being 40%, that's just a little bit high.
Yeah, when you're talking about a resort that has 72 bookable rooms.
Yep.
And I think Saratoga has 18 buildings, and each building has 70
units or something like that.
Yeah, there's like 70 bookable rooms in each of the Saratoga buildings, and they've got 18 of them. If it gives you any idea of the size discrepancy. I'll
tell you, Chad, we were there a couple weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, and I was very impressed with the redesign of the Saratoga Springs room.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I think they've done a very nice job. Very, 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 very impressed.
Yeah, and I was at Top of the World this week, and floor 16 is all closed off there. They're working on it by the men's bathroom at Top of the World, and I was like, ooh, I can't wait till this curtain comes down and I can see what the new rooms at Bay Lake Tower look like. I am just jonesing for that, Andy, because when they do this, historically, it's been Grand Slam after Grand Slam after Grand Slam.
Yeah,
on all of those refurbs.
Yeah, it's interesting, Chad, you bring that up. With the dues statements coming out, I've been getting a lot of questions. I think the team has been getting a lot of questions over the last couple of weeks. People ask, have there ever been a special assessment with DVC owners, or how do they cover all these refurbs? And my comment's always the same: is they have a reserve in each of the dues statements. Mm-hmm. They basically have a bank account that they're collecting money over the course of 1, 3, 5, and 7 years. And then they start to reinvest that money back into the resort. So there's never been a special assessment. Not that there couldn't be. I just don't see that's Disney's way of operating the business.
I think Hilton Head and Vero have had them for hurricanes, and that's the only ones that I know of. Right? Is Hilton Head and Vero, but that's like a hurricane that's unexpected and a big insurance deductible to pay.
Yeah. Could be.
So that's the only things that I know of there as well. And hopefully
so, I can come back and Chad, the news on average resale prices is effectively not much news.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some definite movers and shakers here, and I think Paul covers them up here in his article.
Yep.
And the only thing I would point out is like this $87. You can't really compare that because Disney doesn't sell 2042 contracts. They only sell the 2057s. So I'm going to kind of throw that one off the table in the way I look at things. And no disrespect to Paul, I get what he's saying here. And I think we covered Grand Cal. We've covered Poly. In Beach Club, if you can find somebody who's selling it lower because of this, and you're looking at getting that Darling Gem Resort, it's my favorite one here in Walt Disney World, you might use it to negotiate a little bit and come down on average sales prices from November. But that's the only thing I could see there.
Yep.
And you might persuade a Beach Club seller to look at that and adjust. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the news here on this. We do anticipate more listings coming up. We do anticipate the market getting a little bit more competitive, but not for long because demand's going to shoot up right after that. So that's a good news. That's kind of my take on this as well. I still think it's a great time to buy if it's right for your family. If this product is right for your family, there's nothing here that would say, hey, wait for 4 more months for this. I don't see that. Buy it, get in here and start planning some magical stuff for your family. I was, walking through Flight of Passage today and had just a phenomenal memory of having to do rider swap with Lincoln, who's now 11, back in 2017 when this thing opened, because he wasn't high enough to go on it. And now it's one of his favorite rides here in Orlando. And don't miss out on those memories.
And as the listeners are out there now thinking about, well, I guess I'd like to go back to Walt Disney World, or I'd like to go to Walt Disney World in September, October, November next year. Now's the time to look at a resale contract because it's going to take 60 days to close that. Transfer will give you points around March 1st. It's going to give you ample time to be able to jump on a home resort priority reservation prior to that 7-month window jumping in.
Yeah. That's a great thing because we live at the 7 to 11 month in a lot of DVC. You need to tack on at least a good 60 days onto that for the resale process to work and to give its thing.
Call it the 9 to 13 month window.
Or you're going to be buying a contract and then using your first set of points to come in and book Animal Kingdom, Saratoga, or Old Key West. Yeah, because those usually available at the 7-month mark, right up until around the fifth month mark, 3rd month mark, and then it gets sketchy.
Yeah, a lot of conversations I have with people when we maybe first time buyers who talk about making a first reservation at their home resort. I always tell them, I say, listen, what you're asking me to do once your contract closes, give you a fast pass to jump everybody else in line. And the first year may not happen. You may get lucky. But if you start to plan years 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, that's when you'll get your home resort priority window and your reservation booked.
Yeah, a good point there, Andy. Good point there. So let's move on here to a section that I'm calling Listing Spotlight. And I'm calling it Listing Spotlight because you're in this stuff all day long, Andy. And I can fish around and find something that's interesting. But pre-show, you mentioned some really good deals out here. Some like $500 minimum down payment.
Yeah, so let's do a couple of them for you. I'm going to give you this. Let's do the not extended Old Key West listings. So I think you're in the available status.
Yeah, so I want to come back in and I want to come in and go resort.
Oh, yeah, you do.
And Old Key West.
Yep.
And then what other filter am I looking for?
Status, look for 2057, extended lease.
Okay.
And I think that says, 9? We had 9 earlier today, ranging anywhere from 60 points up to 250 points. And for those who are not familiar with what the extended lease means, is it takes the traditional 2042 lease expiration, takes it up another 15 years to 2057, and the price isn't that much higher. I mean, I was looking earlier today at price range of those are 103 up to $120 a point.
Yeah, these 103s and 105s, because they were
Pretty
what,
good deal.
87 last month in the average sales price for
Yep.
that. So Old Key West here, the non-extended 87 was the average, which is down from 95.
Yeah, go to the
So
line. Take a look at the line below.
yeah, and then 117. So now I have heard cases where they're like, hey, look, based on my age, I'm going to expire shortly after 2042, and I don't want to leave my kids with something. So that's really attractive to me. But I know other people that are not planning on expiring in 2043 and would like an extra 15 years. And
Yep.
if you're an Old Key West person, take a look at those extended contracts.
And as you and I both know, and many of the listeners know, Chad, the Old Key West rooms are about 20 to 25% larger than the traditional villas across the other resorts. And they use about 20% fewer points for the same size villa.
Yeah, for the same booking size villa.
Yep.
But they're, like you said, larger rooms for less points than what we're seeing coming out now in the new resorts and the point charts. It's not even comparable.
When we were there 3 weeks ago, you came over to visit with me, and we were staying there as a family in Old Key West in a 2-bedroom villa, and it was our son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter's first trip to Disney World, and they were surprised at the size of the room that we were in. I mean, it was like a 1,200 square foot condominium.
Yeah, those Old Key West 2 bedrooms, they feel like home. They don't feel like they're a carved up timeshare. They feel like home because of the multi. My theory is it's the size, and it's having a room with windows in 2 corners.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't just have windows on one wall, multiple walls of window. It just makes it feel like home. And
then we were on the golf course too. It made it even better.
Yeah, that never hurts.
So let's go to another one on the status bar, Chad, if you could. So unclick the Old Key West.
Yep, I cleared my filters. Come over to status.
Double point listings.
Oh, these are some dreamers here, Andy. And what this means is you're getting points. Like, look at this Animal Kingdom. This seller banked last year's points. We're into 2024. It's December, so 2024 just started. So you're going to have 11 months to use these 400 points.
Yeah.
And by the time you close on this, you're going to have 11 minus 3 months, let's say it takes. So you're going to have 7 months to use 400 points.
Yeah. And so the reason why I wanted you to highlight this, Chad, is 3 months ago when I did this last market update, we had 15 double point listings. Now we're down to 2. So grab these before they vanish. This is a great opportunity if somebody's looking to do a vacation in Walt Disney World in May, June, July next year and not worry about using the current use year's points.
Now that you look at this, I'm just going to go into Chad math here. And if I take 400 points and I go rent those out at $18 a point, that's $7,200 right there. So I'm going to take this $25,000 contract and subsidize it by at least $6,500, assuming I pay tax on the $7,200. So that's going to bring this contract with closing roughly at like 20 grand.
Yep. That was the point I was going to get to next, because it's a great opportunity to rent out. And who do you rent points out with? You rent them with our sister
DVC Resale Market and DVC Rental Store. Yeah, they are my go-to jam for that. I always check them first to see if there's some low-hanging fruit and somebody who's like wanted one of my home resorts out there. That's what I do first.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a good one. Let's do another one. Go up to the status bar for me, Chad, please.
So, okay.
Back up to the top. And this is going to be good for the viewers to see.
When we started doing this, we got really good feedback on it, because what we're doing is we're modeling the website for the viewers, right? And
so go into status bar.
It's a phenomenal website.
Sorry, status bar again.
Okay, status.
And you want to look for full 24 points with no dues.
Ooh, that's also pretty great as well.
Yeah.
Let me see here.
24 points with no dues should be a little bit. Let me think about that.
Bonus. That's why it starts with bonus, full points for 2024 with no dues. So we
Yeah,
got 27 of those.
Yeah. So another one, this is the way I tell people to think about this, a buyer to think about this, Chad, is the seller's actually paying for your first vacation because the dues are already paid on those points.
Yeah.
Is another scenario, Chad, you could rent out those points for simple math for me is always $15 a point. And now another way to subsidize the purchase of the contract. So earlier this morning, we were at 28 of those listings. I don't know what that is right now. I didn't look before we got
It's
on.
27. Somebody bought one
Okay, we
today.
sold one over the course of the day. So that's a pretty good one to look at if you're a buyer out there in the market too. Chad, go up to the status bar for me, please, real quick.
Okay. Last one, Andy, because
So this one's a unicorn.
you're making it's just too painful for me. You're making me want to come back in and buy a contract.
This is a unicorn. This one, next one's a unicorn. Look for multiple contract. There's only one of them. We don't usually get these. So, and open up that listing for us so we can see it real quick. So what is a multiple contract? People are probably wondering. So this is a scenario where the seller has decided to bundle two listings together under one sale. So when you purchase something like that, it will still be two separate properties, but they're going to be listed on one sort of deed together. You can still sell them down the road, sell them independently, doesn't matter.
Yep.
But what this is going to do is bring your closing costs down to be about a fraction of what they would be if they were two separate.
Yeah, you save on closing. And if this is 77 combined, these are two micro small contracts.
Yeah, two very small contracts. But look what they got for the year 2024.
150 points. That's almost
you could
double.
Rent those, what could you rent those out for, Chad? $20 a point?
At Poly, all day long, every day.
There you go. So
People
there's $3,000 right there. Bring the price of that thing down $3,000.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring this one out in the limelight because we don't get these very frequently.
And here's the other thing, Andy. If there's two contracts there, then 25 and 46, right?
Yep.
Am I reading that right?
Yes, correct.
Those are micro small contracts. You could even sell them later and you're going to get top dollar for them.
Premium price.
This is a phenomenal deal, Andy. Like it's
because
you're getting two micro small contracts that will sell fast and sell for top dollar, and 189 a point. That's not even like outlandishly expensive. Let me come back over to last month and just check myself here. 170 versus 189. So it's $19 more.
Premium, but
you've got bank points.
So that, to me, that was a unicorn. And I wanted to make sure people saw that one.
Oh my gosh.
Occasionally we'll get those. They're not regular. It's not frequent. If you see this and you say, listen, I really like that. It makes a lot of sense. I got two kids. Let's do that. We do not get these very frequently. So don't count on something being there next month or in 3 months. We may get one of these a year.
If this was February, Andy, I'd be looking at some ways to pick this up.
See, that's why I like having a show with you, Chad, because I can always get you to buy more points.
Yeah, well, you can always get me to want to buy more points. and this is saying from like my like 4,600 dues bill, I finally got enough gift cards to like knock it out this year. And yeah, so I guess I'm not feeling the add-on-itis because I'm feeling the relief of my dues being paid.
Awesome. So that was my kind of take on the listing inventory. Again, as you mentioned a couple of times already, Chad, that's going to blossom over the next several weeks. We bring in about 100 to 125 new listings a week. We're selling about 85 to 95 a week. So we're growing inventory by 20 to 30 listings per week.
Yeah, but that's the seasonal, right? That's this time of year. We've kind of talked about that, Andy. Let's come back in and now focus in on some of our questions that listeners have had and comments. So I'm just gonna take it from the top because we've been a while. So Dapper Vanta crew is here. By the way, it was Dapper Day over at Animal Kingdom today. We saw a bunch of people all dressed up and looking nice in the park. And Dapper says he was in Magic Kingdom today since rope drop and saw a good friend from the trivia and one of the Dapper Dans. Yeah, maybe our friend Rob was working over there at doing the Dapper Dan show as well. So yeah, good deal. And Carissa was here. She's saying hi. And she was my comment earlier in the show about taking my friend who hasn't been in like 15 years. She says it's always best doing the parks with people who haven't ever been or been in a long time. And yeah, that's kind of nice because you get to flex your expertise and knowledge and walk them through a day in the park that they couldn't pull off on their own without your regular knowledge and expertise.
I mean, Chad, if I can add a little commentary, we did a character breakfast when we were there a couple weeks ago over at in Epcot by the Land. I can't remember what it was called, but we had our 2-year-old granddaughter who had never been to the parks and never been exposed to the characters. It was just so invigorating, so cool to see her and her perspective on snuggling with Minnie and Mickey and snuggling with Chip and Dale and just wanting to play with Pluto's ears and walk up and down the street with Donald Duck. It was just a different perspective. And that's
It's
what DVC can do, is provide that legacy memory and that purchase for you all.
It really does. And, 2017 we bought in, so we're at the 7-8 year mark now. A lot of people would be getting the itch to hit the eject button, and not me. I'm looking at this going, man, I can't wait till I can bring grandkids. Not that I want any anytime soon, but I'm looking forward to that stage in life, right? When it happens, right? I'm there. I'm ready for it. I'm ready to redo some things that and do them better next time around, right?
we talked about maybe you doing this on a regular basis with the grandkids. And then
you should.
And as you Chad, our youngest daughter Jillian is headed to Aulani the end of February, beginning of March for a week. She's going with 4 girlfriends. They're going to all celebrate their 25th birthdays together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're staying at the resort using the points from us.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great gift. That's just, and the sticker price on that, Andy, would just be astronomical.
Well, they wouldn't go.
Have the points.
They couldn't go.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that I could afford an Aulani vacation at 25.
No,
and
not $1,000 a night.
Well, let me just tell you, in my 50s, I couldn't afford an Aulani vacation without DVC points.
I didn't know you were 50.
So, oh yeah, I'm in my 50s. So, absolutely, Andy.
You're a youngster compared to me.
Yeah, well, I'm still up there, right? It's still up there. But yeah, it's a great thing here. And just a shout out to Eddie thanks for commenting and coming in on the show. And,
what did I miss?
Yeah, so David Kim says, let me know when you get another one of them 82-point Aulani listings and available for sale. It's
okay, David, I got you down.
Yep. Well, we're just there. Yeah. I'm tempted there, Andy. I'm tempted. I might even break you here for that lower price. I'm just saying.
I almost got shot because I went out and told Jolie, I said, there's a very, very attractively priced Aulani listing. And her immediate response is, we don't need more points. I said, we don't need more points at this point in time. Maybe
that's
down
cold.
the road.
That's cold. I got to work on Jolie for you, Andy. Right? I got to work on her. It's
okay.
We got to get her listening to a few more shows, and we'll reel her in. I'm pretty good at that, right? And so Eddie's saying he went to Old Key West and fell in love. I can't explain it, but a certain vibe that resort has that others don't. It's a wonderful resort, especially if you want elbow room and not so like neighbors on top of neighbors on top of neighbors. It's a great place to be.
One thing, I'll tell you, one thing that stuck out in my mind, Chad, about that visit to Old Key West is everywhere we went and every place we walked around the resort, whenever we came across a cast member, the first 2 words they said were "welcome home."
Yeah.
And you don't hear that at every resort.
No, you don't hear it too much in California. You really don't. Maybe the DVC employees that are down there bird dogging leads in the lobby, I'll hear it from.
Yep.
Not even the front desk consistently there. And that's sad. that's really sad because they know you're a member staying on points when you go to check in. So
Yep.
And Gina from Diz Enchanted wants to know any idea when they will refurbish the Grand Californian. It's overdue. I didn't look at the board meeting this year to see when it's popping up, but it should be anytime now. It really it should be anytime now. And that's a great question. I'll try to research it so that I can maybe bring it up on our next live show and have that answer, at least if they've said anything on it. So Just Bear Stuffs, we're excited about the upcoming refurbs at Animal Kingdom Lodge and Bay Lake Tower and are looking to add on at either of those. Do you expect a price bump when room concepts come out? You don't. I look at what happened over at Boulder Ridge, Andy, and once those new rooms came out and they looked amazing, I think the market responded and said, I want to stay here. I want to own here. So I wouldn't be shocked if they do a major refurb of both of those resorts because they opened about the same time, Animal Kingdom right before Bay Lake Tower. They're both due for a hard refurb. And I wouldn't be shocked if DVC doesn't create something totally amazing there that drives up demand, because it happened at Boulder Ridge and it happened, I think, at Saratoga as well when they did that massive refurb.
Yeah.
So to me, it wouldn't be atypical. Am I going to bank on it? No, but knowing what we saw at Saratoga, knowing what we saw at Boulder Ridge, might not be a bad time to come back in and buy. Just saying.
I mean, keep in mind, take the clock back when Bay Lake Tower opened up back in 2010, I think it was, maybe 2012, something like that. It was state of the art the way it was. It was like a New York high rise. And if they take it up to the next level from there, it's just going to increase the desire of people wanting to stay there, which is going to make, the resale more valuable.
When they put that in there, like, what is that, 2010?
I think it was 2010.
Them 32-inch flat screen TVs, man, they were the bomb, right?
Probably at $2,000 each. Now you can get them for $178.
Yeah. I mean, they were the bomb. So I could see them coming back in and replacing those with some 55s in the bedrooms and a 65 or 75 in that great room because they got the space for it. Yeah, I could absolutely see that.
Yeah.
So Wooderson saying, hi, Chad and Andy. About a year and a half in now, has Villas at Disneyland Hotel made much of an impact on the 7-month potential for Grand Cal? And I don't know, because I bought Villas at Disneyland Hotel and I'm just now to the point where I had to get me there a few times to try it out. And I had to get my family there to try it out. We did that last summer. They fell in love with it, but they also start to go, we wouldn't mind being over at Grand Cal. As much as we love this, we wouldn't mind being over there. So my strategy is going to be for family stuff over there going forward. I'm going to book at 11 months at Villas at Disneyland Hotel, and then I'm going to try to do a 7-month switch. And so I would say it's lightened up a little bit, but I also know some of the tips and strategies for booking villas at Disneyland Hotel. And Eddie's saying that's awesome on your granddaughter, Andy. I keep taking my daughter to set expectations so she won't settle for a boyfriend taking her to a dusty carnival. Set the bar high. Set the bar high, Eddie. Set the bar high. And Just Bear Stuff is right there with me. He says, I only asked because we bought a Boulder Ridge after their refurbishments came out as well.
So a smart move could be to buy at Bay Lake Tower before they do it, or Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, before we get to see what's going on there and people start to come back in and stay in those refurbished rooms, might be a good idea to do that. And Just Bear saying, I really wish the amenity package at Bay Lake Tower was a little bit better. Not the biggest fan of the pool play areas. Seems cramped when compared to other properties. I absolutely have to agree with you there. I am not a fan of the concrete jungle outside of that resort. I love the room layout for a standard DVC room, that extra bathroom in there, those head to floor to ceiling windows. That can't be beat. I love that. But the pool area and just the resort vibe of it, I don't feel like I'm on a vacation there. I feel like I'm in a New York City, vacation. And so Cruising with Elena wants to know, hi, when do you think the Polynesian listings will lessen? There's so many offers, not sure that I want to sell now. And that's a really good point.
I mean, we've had 90 listings, 85, 90 listings for, gosh, been 5, 6, 7 months now.
Yeah.
And Elena, unfortunately, I don't see it opening up, from a lack of a better way to say it, or reducing in quantity for several months.
Yeah, because not only that resort is past, it's in about its 8 to 9 year cycle. So a lot of that is the average owner only keeps a DVC contract for about 7, 8, maybe 9 years. 50% are out by year 8. And if that contract is now 8 to 9 years old, the vast majority of those people are just hitting their natural sales cycle.
Yeah.
And they're hitting the eject button there. So I don't see that coming back down right now. I don't see that coming down in the future. Just knowing what I know about the life cycle and the mentality. And I promised to do a show on this, the DVC circle of life here, that says about 8 to 9 years after all of these members hit the eject button and they're selling. It's just part of the circle of life.
So Elena, something to consider would be to rent your points out for a period of time.
Yeah. Or, sell them, because if you're in that 7 to 8 year cycle, you bought them at 135, 140, 150 a point. You're still selling it for more than you paid for it at 170, right?
Sure.
And even if you cut that down $5, you're still going to sell for essentially what you owe on it, or you're still going to make money. You should be at that price. You should be. I don't know what you paid for it. I don't know, but I wouldn't, if I was done with it and I wanted out, call Andy up and, get a listing out there and make it attractive, and you can get out of this thing. And chances are really good. It's the math is going to work in your favor. You're going to have gotten a few years vacations out of this thing and probably get your money back. But Andy can do all that math for you as well and work with you on a one-on-one. I'm kind of a broadcaster here of information and ideas. And so I'm stick to the more of the generalists. Andy will hook you up here as the specialist. And speaking of that, Andy, let's come back in and throw out your contact info here. So Andy at dvcresalemarket.com, 949-412-0850. That's ANDY at dvcresalemarket.com.
And the
949. Yeah. 949-412-0850. And the easiest way to remember it is you're watching the video on this is it's Andy as in the bottom of Woody's boot.
On Toy Story.
Yep.
And I'm glad we could be participating in this podcast from Andy's toy room.
Yeah. And your new office there looks awesome as well.
Thank you.
And we got a new comment here from Mrs. Wooderson. And speaking of Bay Lake Tower, why haven't any rendering or details about the theme been announced, considering that the renovations are underway? The theme is clearly inspired by Mary Blair based on photos. That's a really great question. And unfortunately, we're not DVC and we can't answer that for them. But I can just agree with you that that's a really great question as well. We should have seen something by now. And because the rest of the resort kind of went Mary Blair themed, or Incredibles. And so we should know what we're getting here and here pretty soon. And Just Bear says, the pictures of the Murphy beds just came out today, not officially, but a couple of websites had them. And so Cruising with Elena says, we purchased all 3 of our contracts from Andy and we love Andy as well.
Thank you. I recognize the name and the picture, but I didn't want to say anything.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of a hard spot. Like people have to identify as your client and all of that as well. So I definitely I recognize the photo as well. So I probably watched a few of your videos there. As I've been cruising is kind of my new hobby, and I'm trying to figure out how to get into it and get on more Disney Cruise Line ships. And it's got one booked in April, but nothing on the horizon after that, Andy. So, but that pretty much wraps up today's show. I want to do a huge shout out and thanks to Andy, DVC Resale Market, DVC Rental Store, Monera Financial, and also just a brief quick mention back to 365 Atlanta Traveler is my family's fly free promotional friend of the month. And I'm a little bit late on getting that out, but we will get some content out with Leslie on that as well. So Andy, any final words of wisdom to wrap this show up?
Just everybody have a safe, happy, and healthy new year. Good night, Elena. I like to think of it as this way, as, you know, on the news, you see a lot of things and commentary about global warming. And you're going to get a kick out of my comment here is my impact on global warming is to spread the DVC news and information and the benefits about the program across as many people as I can come across. I'm going to globally warm as many people as I can to get them interested and involved in the DVC brand.
I got a little bit of whiplash on that one. I was like, where is he going with this?
That's okay. I didn't cover that one with ahead of your time, but that's okay. No worries. I like to be a little different.
I'm with you. I'm with you. We want to globally warm some hearts about the magic of Disney and getting them out there. And absolutely as well, Andy. And just a final thought here as well. Last night I went to Candlelight Processional and Whoopi Goldberg was there. And I didn't have really high expectations, Andy. She was phenomenal. Maybe I'm thinking that because my expectations weren't all that high. She was the best Candlelight Processional person that I have ever seen there. And I've lived here for 3 years and I probably go to 6 or 7 of them a year. So hats off to Whoopi. I loved you. Yeah, she rocked out and jammed out there in the Candlelight Processional with the audience. And it was like Sister Act was no act. So, but anyways, that's enough of this. We'll let everybody on to their day. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll be back next month with another live recap show. And I'm also working on getting a couple of live shows together with Sandy and crew. If you've got an idea you'd like for a show, drop me an email at mydvcpoints@gmail.com. Thanks, everybody, and have a great night.
Bye. Happy New Year. Happy holidays.
Good night.